All of you faithful Starch listeners, thanks so much for coming back on another episode of Starch Podcast. Clay and I are here, and today's guest is really an awesome guy. It's pretty cool to have him on the podcast. Clay, you've known him a lot longer than I have, so it's really neat to have this guy on.
Oh yeah, everyone, you'll like this episode. He'll inspire you, no matter what you're doing in any like sports, just your job, anything. You'll definitely get inspired.
Inspiration, yeah, that absolutely. This guy is awesome. 6 times he qualified to the national finals rodeo and the bareback riding. He only got to compete 5 times. Before his 6th trip, he was in a life-changing wreck. A horse flipped over backwards on him, and he did not get to compete his 6th time. He is paralyzed from the waist down. This is the awesome story. We're proud to have him on of JR Vezain. No, I appreciate it, man. What's been going on lately?
Oh man, we just got back home yesterday from our 6-week stint in Texas horse showing. So just settling back into home here. Everybody's asking me, "Are you ready to get home?" I said, "All that's there is work." So back to the grind.
Yeah. So what about? Tell us a little bit about the horse showing and kind of what you guys got going on down there, doing all that stuff.
Oh, it's been awesome journey. I did a podcast, the short story. That was always a dream, was to get in the rein cow horse world when I was done rodeoing after the wreck. It wasn't something I'd given up on, but something I was striving for and didn't necessarily have the way in. It wasn't that I had given up on that dream, but I thought I needed to be walking again to be able to do it, I guess is the shorter way to say it. My 2-year-olds are standing out in the yard, and we were trying to decide who we were going to send them to. And it was starting to frustrate me. I was okay with the rest of life looking the way it looked, but the horse riding side of my life being different was keeping me frustrated. So I said a little prayer, Lord, either take this desire out of my heart or show me a way. I did a podcast with Marcus and Morgan Luttrell back in 2020. At the end of the podcast, they asked me what I'd be doing if the wreck hadn't happened. I said I'm doing exactly what I'd be doing regardless of the wreck, other than I always had a dream of getting in the rein cow horse world. 2 years after that podcast, a fella heard it. Aaron Brookshire is his name. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. Called me up. Said, "Hey, I listened to that podcast. Is that still a dream of yours? 90% of my non-pros don't know how to use their legs anyways. So if you're willing," he said, "I bet we can get it figured out." That was March of 2022. So as it steamrolled, we made a couple trips down there, made some life changes. Got into showing, got into competing again, qualified to the World Show at Fort Worth 2023, or I guess 2024, would have been my first time there, and then got qualified again this last year, so went down there again this year and got competed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man. It's been life-changing. It's been fun. It's all the things. It's been great. So the last 3 winters, my family and I, we've went and spent a few months down there. This year was our shortest stay. We only spent 6 weeks down there this year, but nonetheless, went down, showed at Fort Worth, and then got another show in, and looks like we'll be doing it again. I got some money won, so there's the start of the qualification again, just slowly but surely chipping away, leveling up, with hopes and dreams of competing World's Greatest Horseman someday.
That's awesome, though.
Does Shelby, does she ever want to ever compete in that stuff?
I think so.
Maybe.
No, I know so. She's the rock of this whole family anyways, but she's at the horse shows, doing all the things, keeping my horse pretty, overly babying my horse anyways. So I'm always like, why not? You might as well. And I think she's got the itch. So that's the next step. She's got a 4-year-old right now. I think that's the plan. If I can talk her into competing, yeah, I dang sure think she'll get into showing here pretty soon.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, for some of the people that don't know, and I guess I don't really know 100%, but tell us a little bit about, is it the Greatest Horseman? That's what the competition is called. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's been crazy, that whole dream. So the whole story on that, 2000 so I grew up training colts, starting colts up here in Montana. When my uncle was my hero, he would just colt breakers, right? 30,
Yeah.
60, 90-day guys. And then anything of our own, we always were trying to make legit bridle horses. That was the thing, the old vaquero style of legit bridle horses. You guys know how Montana is, where I was raised in the central eastern side of the state. We have sagebrush buckaroos and cowboying. We loved cowboying, right? And horses packing fancy spade bits got my rocks off. I that's what I dig. I dig that horsemanship. But the the performance side of it, the showing, the cutting, the reined cow horse side of that wasn't my clique. We weren't in that clique. We were just in the day working cowboy clique, colt breakers.
Yeah.
So in 2014, we got checked into the very first American rodeo, and I was traveling with R.C. Landingham at the time, and his stepdad Ty Skyver trained and showed some cow horses out in Oregon. So the celebration of champions, the quote unquote the world's greatest horseman, was going on at the Coliseum. So we got checked into the rodeo, and he said, "Hey, let's go watch some of that." So that was my first time ever seeing any reined cow horse in competition. And now looking back on it, I'm sure it was some of the non-pro classes or the prelims or something. But the world's greatest horseman was the big show going on at the time. How that works is there's some smaller shows that go on throughout the year, but then they got 5 majors. They got the Snaffle Bit Futurity, which is also obviously huge. That's in October. They got the Derby, the Hackamore Classic, the Stallion Stakes going on in Vegas. But during those shows, they're like 2 or 3 weeks long, kind of like a rodeo, and they'll have the big premiere event and then all the other levels and classes that go on during that show as well. So within the reined cow horse, there's like the very low beginner classes. They got the boxing classes. They got all the non-pro classes. Then all the open classes, all of them going on at the same time, with the premiere event as well.
Right.
So I'd seen that clear back 2014. At that time, Shelby actually, she said, "How is it?" I said, "This is some of the coolest stuff I've seen since sliced bread." It was fancy horses packing fancy spade bit, chasing wild cattle around, and I thought it was cool. At the time, I didn't necessarily care about the competing. It was, I wanted to go get around as many of those high-end trainers as I could and become the best horseman that I could. My uncle always told me growing up, he said, "My ceiling will be your floor." He taught me everything. "I'm going to teach you everything I know, and then you take it and run with it, do whatever you want with it. My ceiling will be your floor." So when I saw that, that was the world I wanted to get in. From my background being learning how to make legit bridle horses. Then once I got into it, I realized how much I needed the competition as well.
Sure.
And it's been everything that rodeo had left me kind of on that side of it. But world's greatest horseman, it's crazy. When Shelby asked me how it was, I said, "This is the world I want to get in and maybe someday compete the world's greatest horseman." That's not by chance um, or by luck that was the first thing of that world that I saw, because as I started getting into it, there came a time I'd made a couple trips down there to Aaron's, and I was like, man, the light bulb went off. Like, I had pretty low expectations of what was gonna come of it, and some things are starting to click. I was getting through some of the cow work and was like, man, I could shoot, like maybe we could get competitive at this,
Yeah.
So I got home, the light bulb finally went off. I was like, man, if Amberly Snyder can figure out how to win money at a pro rodeo, why can I not figure out how to win money at a cow horse show? So I got home and I called him. I said, hey, I'm kind of goal driven. What's reality? I need to set some realistic goals. What what does this look like in your mind? Because the fire was lit inside of me. Like I was like, I'm about to go all in on this deal and let's head for the top. And he said, well, I said, if I'm about to buy this expensive, I'm about to have to sell my left freaking kidney to afford this horse type of a deal. And I'm kind of business minded, I'm like, how much are entry fees? How much can I win? I'm like, is this
Right.
reality? Right.
Right.
And he's like, well, maybe let's not approach it that way. He said, my goal, he said, I know we'll get you competitive, but maybe let's just let the colts out of that mare pay for her and treat it like a hobby and see where we get. And he didn't tell me it was impossible, but didn't want to fill me full of false hopes either. Right.
Sure.
Like I'd only rode with him 3 times up until this point, and I wish I could show you video. Like I'm wobbling all over the place. Like we're at ground zero, right? Like
Sure.
it's crazy that I even came at it this way. But honestly, I'm like, man, this is relighting that fuel and this is relighting that fire inside of me that I hadn't had for a while. And honestly, it was the first time in my life that I'd ever doubted myself, like I didn't know. I didn't know what reality was. And I had to go do some gut check and I had to go do some soul searching. And the small still voice, when I got to the end of that, seeking it, searching it, praying it out, when I got to the end of it, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I heard an audible voice, but the small still voice that was burning inside of me was the dream was to compete at the world's greatest horseman someday. Why is that not still the dream?
Right.
And I had to call him back, man. And I was fired up. And I was like, here's the deal. I know we're at the bottom of the totem pole. I know it's going to take me 10 times as much work as it would anybody else just because of the situation. I know we got a steep mountain to climb, but I just need you to know where I'm coming from. Like, I'm kind of an impossible guy. I need to shoot for the impossible. I am headed for the impossible, and the impossible to me looks like competing at the world's greatest horseman someday. And now that I know a little bit about the business, I want to be $1 million rider. So as my coach, I need you to coach me to those same expectations that I have of myself or even greater, because there's going to be days where I need kicked in the ass. There's going to be days where I'm going to want to give up. So I need you to know where I stand. And the voice on the other side of the line was, just like we eat an elephant, pard one bite at a time. And that was all I needed to hear. Like, I don't need you to believe in me because I believe in myself, but I need you to know what I'm shooting for, And the backside of that was, I don't need to compete at the world's greatest horseman to define my success. The bigger picture of this is to inspire and encourage. And if I can, you can type of a message with why I'm doing it, But I'm shooting for the top, man. If a guy in a wheelchair can shoot for the impossible, why can't you, And don't cut yourself short, man. Take the lid off the box and shoot for the stars. So it's crazy that world's greatest horseman was the thing that I shot for, because we're talking bridle horses riding around one-handed, broke, train horses. Well, I can do that. Like, my dream wasn't to compete at the snaffle bit where you got to use 2 hands. My dream wasn't to compete at the Hackamore Classic. My dream was to compete at the world's greatest horseman. I physically think that I can do that. I know that can happen regardless whether I get walking again or not, And that really has inspired me, encouraged me to go all in and give it a shot.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I like that. And the other thing, it's like, honestly, anything in general, like when you start out playing, back in the day when we are all little on the playground playing basketball, it wasn't like we were just like, we want to be on the, middle school team. We're like, we want to be NBA players,
NBA.
You gotta shoot for the highest of the high. That's the only way to do anything in general. So yeah, it's definitely the way to go. all that.
No, absolutely. And it's so, I mean, you've been for several years now, you've been an inspiration to a lot of people. I mean, it's not just what you're doing with the World's Greatest Horseman, but I mean, just how you have handled your situation and taken life. I mean, I'm not saying it was all easy and fun and games, but just the way that you have done it, you have inspired a lot of people. And do you ever sit back and think about that? I mean, here are some of these people like pray, when they're like, "Oh man, you really inspired me." Do you ever get to thinking about all that stuff?
It's really a weird crossroads
Yeah,
for me. Because when you hear those things, that's very, 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 very humbling.
sure.
You changed my life. You inspired and encouraged me to chase this dream. All of those things are very, very humbling because I'm just JR Vezain being JR Vezain. Like none of that's changed, right? The Sure, life looks different than when I was chasing gold buckles or spurring bucking horses, some of that stuff, but I don't know how to be any different.
Right.
And I've had to let a little bit of that story unfold and a little bit of life unfold to grasp some of that concept also. Um, because I've been at the deep, dark pits of despair also.
Yeah.
I've been at the spot where honestly, guys, like I didn't care if I lived anymore. Like I didn't put a gun in my mouth, but I contemplated it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been at the spot of Lord, please take my life away from me because I don't think the people around me would be better off without me. Like I've been there. I've been in that spot. And I would be lying to you if I told you that any day from this chair was fun. Like
Right. Right.
it still sucks, right? Like the situation, there's no fun there, but the Lord has shown me how to have joy in the suffering. So there's been a lot of very cool opportunities that have come from the situation. There's been a lot of lessons that I've learned, and there's been a lot of fun that I've had regardless of the situation, some of that stuff. So where that thought really started to happen was I've always done speaking engagements when people asked, right?
Yeah.
And I um, I never promoted that or any of that, but I was always willing. And I did one time up in Canada. And I was riding my horse, and I always felt inadequate when I did those things. Not because, like, in front of a group of high school kids, that was really easy for me because I felt like I had something to give them. But
Sure.
in front of crowds of people that were older than me, I'm like, who am I to give you life advice? I should be getting life advice from you, right? And I was up at Heart of the Horse in Canada and riding my horse around. I do a little demonstration, giving the speech, and I get done with it. And this little grandma, she comes up to me like she's humped over, she's crippled up, walking like probably made it through the Great Depression, you know. Here I am. I'm like, I should be getting life advice from you. And she says, son, you changed my life. And that I was really taken back by that. I was like, what do you mean? How did I change your life? She said, you reminded me that I can't let my health problems keep me from going on that camping trip with my grandkids this summer. And that hit me
Mm-hmm.
because and look, it's not that I'm any better than you guys. It's
No.
not that I've got nuggets. I mean, Paul Bogasati. Do you guys know Paul Bogasati? 90% of people I ask that to don't know Paul Bogasati. Paul Bogasati was a Red Bull athlete that got in a mountain biking accident. Same similar situation as me. Took him 7 years. He got walking again. He just went and walked the Boston Marathon here a year ago.
Wow.
That is inspiring to me, right? That is encouraging to me. So I'm like, who am I to inspire and encourage? I'm still in the chair, just trying to figure life out, trying to get out of this chair. And the small still voice I heard when I was asking the Lord about that is, yeah, but I don't have Paul Bogasati in the same circle as you.
Right.
So we all have that opportunity to inspire and encourage those that we come in contact with. We all have the opportunity to be a thermometer rather than a thermostat. Whatever room we're in, we can change the atmosphere of the room. We get to dictate whether it's a positive or a negative influence. We get to dictate whether we put a smile on somebody's face or make them frown, right? So I think it's a job that all of us have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Whether it's encouraging 1 million people or 10 doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We all get the job to impact people in this world. And it's when I'll grasp life that way, that this life isn't about me. When life is about how I get to impact those that I come in contact with, it's a sobering thought. It's a humbling thought. And when we as humans grasp that concept, I think it's humbling for everybody.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
easy in the rodeo world because it's no different than an NBA star or whatever, right? In the rodeo sphere of things, when you're chasing a gold buckle, that's naturally the eyes are on you.
Sure.
You think lowly of yourself when you're not the guy in the arena chasing the gold buckle, when in reality there's always eyes on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? So
No-
yeah, absolutely. I mean, to circle back around and answer your question, it's very, very humbling to know that I have the opportunity because I've swallowed the pill. I've swallowed the pill that the story is inspiring. I have to crawl out of my wife helps me saddle my horse. I have to crawl out of the window of my pickup or use a sling or use a whatever to get on my horse to go chase this dream. I wake up in the morning, try to wiggle my toes don't wiggle. I get out of bed, get busy. Like that is naturally inspiring. The humbling part about it is that there's a want and a need for that in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I didn't know. I always say this about rodeo. People ask me, do you miss rodeo? I don't. I don't miss rodeo. What I miss is I miss spurring bucking horses, and I miss being around my buddies on the daily.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to understand what that even meant. The thing that I miss about rodeoing is running my hand in the rigging, cracking it around, hearing that sliding up, sucking your hat down, sticking your arm in the air, and that moment right before you nod your head. That it gives me chills thinking about it. That moment right there, that you know that this situation can happen. You know this is life or death situation. You know you could die, and you're totally comfortable and calm in that moment, right? You nod your head, the gate opens, and the rest is a blur, right?
Yeah.
That thing, I miss that thing. And then I miss being around my buddies on the daily. And that was naturally what happens. It's a thing that rodeo cowboys take for granted because you're 18, you buy your permit, you've had this dream for, I don't care if it's from the time you're 4 or 14, whenever you start high school rodeoing, to be in the yellow buck and chutes chasing a gold buckle, right? That's your dream. And you turn 18, you buy your permit, you go to a few pro rodeos. All of a sudden you naturally gravitate to this group of guys, you bail in the car, you go down the road for 250 days a year, and you're constantly elevating each other to be the best version of yourself that you can be. Whether that's partying, chasing women, spurring bucking horses, business, whatever, right? Like, you're in a rig talking life with these guys. And when you have that little doubt and when you have that little bit of fear, you're like, man, I got Craig at Midnight, or I got Virgil drawn, and I'm nervous. I don't know if I got what it takes. You have 3 other guys in your rig that tell you quit being a sissy. You got it, man, and you never think about it again, right? Like, it's the same thing. It's why rodeo cowboys can relate to soldiers. Like, it's that brotherhood that you
Right.
miss. It's that constantly elevating each other to be the best that you can be. And I didn't know that people gave up on their dreams. I didn't know that people got stuck in a 9 to 5 job and didn't chase their passion. I didn't know that people gave up because life handed them a lemon, right? Like, when you're rodeoing and you're broke and you're like, man, I can't afford to go to that rodeo. You got 3 guys that say, hey, I'll cover your entry fees, pay me back when you win. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you just, when you're at that low point in life, you got 3 other guys that are like, hey, let's go. Like, we ain't letting you get down.
Pushing you.
And that's what I miss about rodeoing. So for the first time in my life, I had to go find those people again. I had to go put those relationships in my life again. And then the cow horse journey has been that rodeo thing to me. That chasing that feeling of feeling alive again.
Have you you describing like in the chute all the things like the squeakiness? Are you getting those, like already having those kind of somewhat moments in the cow horse stuff?
Absolutely, man. That was that thing. So I approached it like walking again was that thing for me. And there was a moment, man, where so up until this point in my life, like anything that I wanted, I got. And if I didn't get it, I went and worked a little harder and I got it. Right? Like it started when I was 5 years old in wrestling. If you got
Right.
beat, you went and you trained a little harder to beat that guy. And if you didn't get a state title, you went and did the little extra to get it. So it instilled in this thing in me, like you could have whatever you wanted in life. You just had to work a little harder. Well, walking again, I had never worked at anything harder in my entire life and was seeing minimal to no result. And it was very hard for me to grasp. Like, Lord, I believe, like, I know you can snap your finger and make me walk again. Like, why am I not getting what I feel like I deserve? And the smallest voice I heard was, you got to trust my timing. So I had to surrender that. After that, it wasn't that I gave up. I still try every single day to get out of my chair. I woke up this morning, I was staring at my toes trying to get them suckers to wiggle, right? Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't that I gave up. I'm still doing whatever it takes and trying my best to get out of this chair. But that was something that was the first time in my life that no matter how hard you worked on it, like I had to surrender it. And I had never had to do that in my life. Like if I wanted a snowmobile, I went and saved my money up until I got a snowmobile. If I wanted that sweet bit that was at the store, I went and won a rodeo and I went and bought it, like whatever it was, I had got. And I I I had to get to I had to surrender the walking thing. Like that was a hard pill for me to swallow, that no matter how hard I work at it, it might not happen, right? That didn't diminish my faith. That didn't make me quit or give up or accept even. I still don't accept that this is the end for me. Like I know I'm going to get out of this chair one of these days. But it just had to get to one of these days being okay, right?
Sure.
And so I was searching for that other thing. I was searching for that thing to fill that void of competing and being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and ranching wasn't doing it for me. Leatherwork wasn't doing it for me. All of those things. So the cow horse journey was that thing for me. It was the put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, suck your hat down, go nod for 90, let the results going to be what they're going to be. Whether you win, lose, draw, suck, or great, win, fall off, whatever, you get to go try, practice, and work again. So I wouldn't say that it's the exact same feeling as that screek rate, that moment you nod your head, but it's dang sure enough. It's
Yeah.
dang sure a lot of those same feelings. It's dang sure.
Well, you start to get that. I mean, all that's being competitive. You get that little bit
Yeah,
back.
exactly.
The biggest thing.
Exactly.
I
Yep.
want to talk about, because I've heard people talk about it, and actually in a roundabout way he's kind of related to you. His wife's a Newman, but Lloyd Ketchum told me about like the first time he ever stepped into the Thomas and Mack at when they had the Wrangler bullfights and he was fighting in it and stuff. But what was your experience like the very first time you walk into the Thomas and Mack and see the yellow buck and shoots and you hear the music and everything? I mean, tell us about that, because I know everybody gets the chills and they're like, man, I'll never forget my first time going there.
There's so I've done a lot of studying on some of this stuff, like why people remember what they remember in life, whether it's trauma or bad scenarios in your life, just the way your brain works, right? Or good, or taste, smell, all the. I can still smell that smell.
Really?
Like I and I'll tell you another thing too. I've had the chance of since the wreck, they took me there that year, and even with Sage, I've got to go down into the locker rooms a couple times, and I've also been up in the main concourse. The smell is not the same in the concourse as it is in the locker room behind the buck and shoots,
Sure.
right? Like some of those things. So there's no words that can describe
Yeah.
that moment, right?
The podcast is brought to you by our friends at Montana Silversmiths. Montana Silversmiths sets the gold and silver standard of excellence, handcrafting fine Western jewelry and world-class buckles. If you guys have never been to their website, go over there, get yourself a buckle, a necklace, hat picks, you name it, they've got it right there at montanasilversmiths.com.
October 1st rolls around, you know you've made it. You know you've qualified. You think it's legit. Then you show up and coming from Montana, you roll over the hill and you see all the lights and you think it's sunk in, right? And it still hasn't hit. Then you go to the back number ceremony 2 days before and you get your back number. Then you think it's sunk in. It still hasn't hit. Then you go to the day before the first round, you go to the meeting and you take the picture and you're on the buck and shoots. You're on the back of the buck and shoots and you think it's sunk in and it still hasn't. Then the days come, right? Like this is the dream. This is what you've been trying to accomplish. And you go down the alley and you see all the fire breathing dragons for the first round and you think it's sunk in, right? It still hasn't. Then they run them in and you put your rigging on and you're like, this is it. This is what this moment's about. And it still hasn't sunk in, right? Then they do the Viva Las Vegas and you see the NFR banners run around and they go out and you think it's sunk in, right? And it still hasn't sunk in. Then you crawl in the buck and shoot. And I'll tell you, the moment is this. You run your hand in, you hear the reet. You slide up, you suck your hat down, you stick your hand in the air and you nod your head. It's that thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's in the Thomas and Mack or in the backyard at practice. It's that moment right there that we're all after. In the Thomas and Mack, it's just heightened because there's 18,000 fans and this is the pinnacle of the sport, right? But it doesn't matter if it's there or in the backyard. It's that thing that makes you feel alive.
Yeah. No, I kind
So
of
the
got
first
chills.
time at my NFR, like there's no words, and I competed 5 times, and I separated my shoulder in 2014 and got on 5 more when I shouldn't even been getting on 5 more. So I nodded my head 50 times in that building, and none of them compare to that first one.
The first one, yeah,
because that is the dream. That chasing that feeling at that moment was what it's all about.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, I do. I've never ran my hand in a rigging in my entire life, but
No.
I feel like I'm right there with him.
The taste, the smell, the sound, I don't know. I don't even know how to compare it to anything else. Like there's no moment that'll compare to watching your first child be born. There's no
Sure.
moment that compares to a horse flipping over on you, breaking your back, and you realizing that your life is different now. There's no moment that compares to. I mean, we can get dark too. I mean, there's no moment that compares to the your parents telling you, "Hey, your mom and I are getting divorced." Like,
Right.
there's no moments that compare to those moments, right? Like, I don't know why the brain works that way, but there's no moment that compares to that first one in the Thomas and Mack. The taste, the smell, your saliva running, your heart beating. You can hear the people upstairs starting to get rowdy. frick, man, it's it gives me chills right now even thinking about it, because it's will forever be etched inside my brain, my body, my being,
Yeah.
the completion of chasing a dream. And I never won a gold buckle, right? Like the real dream was the gold buckle. Like that's
The
what we're all
completion of it.
after.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
completion of that. But it was a completion of the dream.
Absolutely.
The dream was to be running my hand and feeling that feeling in those bucking shoots.
Yeah. Yeah.
And none of them will ever compare to that first one.
So talk about, I know another moment in your life. Talk about the first time you ever met Shelby.
Yeah, I seen so I met Shelby at the first time. So I went to college with her brother, and didn't even know that Nevada Newman had a sister, right? And I had seen Shelby in Billings once, but the first time I actually truly met Shelby was up at Pinoca, of all places. She was up there visiting Zeke and Jane Thurston, and to be real with the story, um, one of my traveling partners at the time was chasing her, but he had a couple other girls that he was chasing also. So it was like hey man, I'll wingman you, I'll take care of this one.
Yeah.
And I knew at that moment she was a cool chick. She was all of the. I was at a weird spot in my life. Also, was at a woman hating. I don't need this in my life type scenario. And when I hung out with her, it was different. It was like, this chick's cool. This, she's gritty. She's cowgirl. She's looks to me like she can throw down in a bedroll, but also pretty enough to take to Vegas, right? Like she can put on a cool dress, but I know what Millstone's like, and to survive in Millstone, this chick's got it going on. Plus, she's got a way bigger ranch than I do, so I better put a ring on it. No, yeah, it was fun. She was just fun, man. She was down to earth. I could be myself there. I didn't have to be something I wasn't. It was it was just cool. And
how long have you guys been together?
So we started dating in 2014, got engaged we didn't date very long before I slapped a ring on it, like 9 months or 10 months or something. So we were engaged in 15, married in 16. So June of 16 was when we got married. So we'll be 9 years married this year, and dated for a year before that.
That's awesome.
Well, you know what's crazy about that, though? I was thinking about that. We were married. Well, I've been in this situation where I'm coming on year 7. We've been married longer in this situation than we were, quote unquote, normal.
Right.
That
before the wreck, yeah.
Crazy to me.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very grateful that woman meant it when she said, "Till death do us part."
Yeah.
Because I've asked her to leave. Like, you deserve better. You deserve a man that can go downstairs and fix the pipe instead of you having to do it. You deserve a man that can saddle your horse instead of you saddling mine, and some of that stuff. And she loved me for me, and not because it was JR Vezain, the bareback rider. And I think some of that's had to learn, and obviously it's been challenged, right? Like,
sure.
I'm sure she's had to question herself too, but yeah, man, that woman's a rock.
Yeah. The only downside is you have to put up with Sage Newman all the time. I
thank goodness he rodeos full time, so I don't have to put up with him that much.
I got to read this. I'm pulling up on my phone because I got to read this. So I texted him before we got on here, and I said, "Hey, we got JR coming on the podcast. You got to tell us some stories or anything funny that you can think of." He texts back and goes, "Well, let me think. The guy can talk. He's got a bunch of stories. He was a wild man back in the day. Ask about that."
I ain't even super wild. Nevada would have more funny stories about me probably than Sage. Sage was I was pretty refined and cleaned up, and and I ain't sure Sage seen me at my worst, but Nevada, dang sure would have. But I'm not too embarrassed about some of those things in my life either. I've been at the bottom of derelicts, man.
We all have. If you've done it right,
So
yeah, yeah,
I I wouldn't trade any of that stuff for anything just because it made me who I am today. But um,
absolutely,
this family's been great, man. It was definitely divine appointment there as well.
yeah,
Um, I I owe a lot to these guys. They my fam. I'm not downgrading my family. My family's great. Also, it just so happened to be that I moved here,
yeah,
and um, at my dark days when I didn't want to, and I didn't even know I didn't want to, they'd come pick me up, throw me in the pickup, make me go.
hmm
And those guys, they've been family's gold, man.
yeah. The only gripe we got against Sage is we've asked him to come on 2 or 3 times and he keeps skirting around us. So
Yeah.
that's the only gripe. I went to college at Bozeman and him and I are the same age and we entered in the same time and neither of us finished college at Montana State. We had fun, but we didn't finish. But yeah, Sage is an awesome dude. He is oh, I'm just wondering, is he ever going to hit a growth spurt or hit puberty, or
No,
is it
I
always
think
going to
I
be like,
think that's over. Yeah.
he wasted it all on the mustache? What he
Yeah.
gained in the mustache, he lost in height.
So true.
Oh man, tell us about your little boy.
Right. 5 be turning 6 in May. So Shelby told me she was pregnant, expecting September 1st, and I was hurt 3 weeks later. Um, so all of his parenting, all of my parenting, all of his dad has been from this situation. What does he mean in my life? He was a complete godsend in my
Yeah,
life, man. At those moments, there was some of those moments when I didn't care if I lived or not. The Lord made him walk in the room, and he would say something that made me
yeah,
realize that I had a fear. Like I was like, I want to. Okay, so I grew up not. I didn't know my real dad growing up. Um, I was raised by a dad, my sibling's dad, but I didn't know my real father. And I met him later on in life and talk about things you remember. Like I didn't ever feel abandoned or any of those things, but I think it left a hole in me for sure, you know?
sure,
And I I wanted to be able to teach my son all the things that my real dad didn't teach me, quote unquote. You hear the good dads, right? And I wanted to be that for my kid. And I had a fear of whether I could be a good dad or not. And the things that his dad does and it's it's crazy, man. It's a journey all in itself. That kid is awesome.
Does
yeah,
he like
He
horses and
loves
stuff?
horses, man. I got a bit of fear that I always said you don't choose bareback riding chooses you. And I think it might have chose that kid last fall at the rodeo camp. So like I don't do any pressuring into that. Like he sees some pictures hanging around the wall,
yeah,
obviously has asked me about it, and I've showed him some videos, some of that stuff, but um I couldn't care less if that was a path that he chose. And obviously watching his uncle and seeing some of that live, obviously there's a bit of you that knows they're going to choose that path, but I never pressure that, right? So his other uncle Sigan here a couple years ago, like he spurs everything, spurs the armchair and wants to ride and kick everything. So he has him on a wheel, like a suitcase with wheels, and he's got his hand run in it, and Sigan was kind of pushing him back and forth and teaching him how to spur in time. Well, that was all that he's really had of any coaching as far as that goes. So last fall we take him. He wanted to go to the camp that Sylvan puts on down there in Miles City that we help with. And so I thought he was just wanting to go hang out with all the kids and have fun playing and whatever else. And we get there and he's so in tune with watching the bareback riders spur the bucking machine. And he had told me before, he said, I want to ride the bucking machine. I said, all right, sounds good. Put your money where your mouth is, cowboy. So he's watching these guys and just in tune. And I'm like, you all right? They all got done around. I'm like, you ready? And he's like, no, not yet. So when they go to get on their horses, he comes up and he's like, all right, I think I'm ready. So I'm like, all right. So we go turn it down to 1, set him up there. He, no glove, no nothing. He puts his hand in the rig and he sucks his hat down. He slides up, puts his hand in the air and nods his head. And he marks this thing out, holds his feet for 2 and goes to spur in perfect timing. Toes cranked out. I was like, whoa, somebody needs to hand this kid some golf clubs, right?
Whoa.
Like, it was pretty natural.
Yeah.
So I have a bit of fear that bareback ride might have chose him, but he loves horses, man. He loves helping. He's a great helper. He's feral, very, very, very feral. Like very hard on his mom. He's a little punk, but no, he's awesome. I'm very fortunate and blessed to be able to be that kid's dad,
That's
and
cool.
I think he's got a bright future in
Yeah.
front of him.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you like doing the schools?
Yeah, I love them.
Teaching
They're kind of hard for me because I really want to be able to show you what I'm trying to tell you, you know? So definitely feel like I play second fiddle there. Like what I love is making you feel like you can spur a grizzly bear. Like I love pumping you up,
Yeah.
you know, like
be the mindset thing, and
yeah,
that's where you.
I love that. I love
perfect.
making you feel like frickin' let's run in another one. I got it, even if I just frickin' got kicked in the head and I'm not sure if I want to. You know, like I love talking you over that bridge. So I love helping. I love helping with them. I don't necessarily know that I would love putting one on myself, just for some of that stuff. But I definitely love helping.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to take a lot of your time, but I do want to end on this. And I know when you go and talk to, whether it's a group of high school kids or whatever, man, you give a lot of advice and life advice. And, it's not that life has been easy on you, I mean, you've definitely been through more than a lot of people have. So what is some great life advice that you would give some people that are going through, whether it's their situations just like yours or whether their situations just hard in general? What's some great life advice that you would
man,
give?
I have a book. I have a book that I even go read. I actually just wrote one down today, and it's something I'm doing this year. Like I'm taking life advice from everybody that are good nuggets, and some of the things I hold on. What I have a lot. So I have a lot. I have a lot of really great advice. But so does a lot of the world. Like my advice is not unique to anything else that others haven't already heard from somebody. But what I'm holding on to this year right now is moments matter. And what I mean by that is I have really big dreams, aspirations, and goals, right? And I think I would encourage others to find that thing, like find your passion and chase your passion, whatever that is. I think it's something, with that being said, I think we're taught young we're not taught that. We're not taught to chase our passions, right? Like the school system doesn't teach us to chase our passion. The school system teaches us to graduate, go to college, get educated, and get a good job that pays a lot of money. And I'm not knocking that thing. And I was raised in a really good home, though, that taught me how to teach my passion. And I'm not saying all teachers are like that either. I think there's great teachers out there that teach kids to chase their passion or whatever role model it is. But chase your passion. Chase that thing that makes you tick. Chase that thing that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning, because that is what will make you sacrifice. That is what will make you do whatever it takes to achieve your goal. That is what will make you suck it up and not let the bad days win, right? Chasing your passion. Chase whatever God designed you to be. So once you get to doing that, then moments matter. And moments mattering is, so I learned right away. Like, I had a bunch of fears, and I didn't know what life was going to look like from the situation, right? And one of my biggest fears at the moment, good dad. And right away, I was in rehab hospitals where people were having to put a pillow in their lap to hold their new baby.
Mm-hmm.
And there was brain injury folks that just had brand new kids that didn't even recognize their family, right? So right away, I had to go be thankful for what you have, because there's somebody out there wishing that they have what you have, right? Be careful what you're complaining about, because there's somebody wishing that they have what you have. So this year, 2025, for me, is moments matter. What I do today dictates what tomorrow is going to look like. What that turns into dictates what the rest of this year is going to look like. What this year looks like is going to dictate what next year looks like. What next year look like is going to dictate what the next 5 years look like. And in this moment, I have the choice. I can choose my effort, and I can choose my attitude. Those are the only two things that I truly can control. So I can always look at the glass half full. I can, even when I have a flat tire, I can always look at the glass half full. I can always choose the little things to be thankful for. I can choose the little things to be grateful for. I can choose to be an overcomer, and that thing. And how do you chop a tree down? You don't chop it down by hitting it 1,000 times in different places. You chop the tree down by hitting it 1,000 times in the same spot, right? So moments matter. When I find the little things to be grateful for, when I do what I can, when I don't let the things that I can't do keep me from doing the things that I can do, when I all the things. If you can run, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, roll over. When I do those things over and over and over and over and over again, I think the stars are the limit. There are no limits, right? So my advice today for this year, moments matter. Second by second, day by day, hour by hour, moment by moment, I have the choice of my effort and my attitude. So choose wisely.
That's awesome.
You're an inspiration, man. We definitely appreciate it. And everything. I also, I mean, I've been a fan. I was telling, being a fan of you, but telling Garrison I used to wear my Rodeo Ready sticker, all the things back in the day. So that was always cool.
I had it on my vest. I actually have a belt with the last round, my last go round buckle that I ever won. It says "Let 'em roll" on the back. Bead worked up by Clay Guardapie and whoever else did it, but that's still the belt that packs my buckle around, man.
Yep, that's awesome. Yeah, I was actually before we got on, I was looking for that picture when I gave that to you. I know I have it somewhere. I'll have to find it, but
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
If you can't find it, I'm sure I got it somewhere too.
Yeah.
But no,
Good
yeah, that's
moments for
cool,
sure.
man.
So.
Oh man, we
Well,
really
with
do
that
appreciate
being
you coming
said,
on.
Clay, it's cool to see where you're at. I mean,
Yeah,
people want advice from me. You get advice from Clay.
Oh, but yeah,
How many
it is
cameras ago
crazy.
was that? How many photo shoots away was that? How many
Yeah.
other pictures? How far are you from that? Just keep doing what you want to do, man, because the stars are the limit, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it just reminded me of all that when you were, talking about moments and all that. Like, it is crazy when you look back on
Ask that
certain
question. Take
moments.
that step. What's
Yeah.
the worst that's going to happen? No. Ask
Yeah.
again, man. I heard a little deal the other day that really truly inspired me, because somebody asked me what the difference was between me and Casey Field, and I had to truly ponder on that, because I've thought about that a lot. Like, I don't know what that thing was, right? Like, I don't believe that Casey believed it more than me. I don't believe that Casey worked at it harder than me. Sure, there's moments probably where I can go back in my career and go, man, I probably could have done a few more push-ups or rode the spur board one more time or whatever, right? But I left it all out there. Like, I did the best I could with what I knew how at the time. So I don't believe Casey worked at it harder than me. I don't believe some of these things, but Casey had this thing about him. It was like, everything he touched turned to gold, right? Like, everybody looks at Casey that way. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, but he was also the poster child. He also had great sponsorship deals, all those things, right? Like, we could go to the same suite and sign autographs, and somehow Casey would walk out with a new sponsorship deal and I wouldn't. Like, what's the difference there, right? And I truly had to think on that. And so when that guy asked me that, I was like, I don't know what the difference was. Honestly, I think it was just fate. Like, it was in his deck of cards and it wasn't in mine. But as I thought about that for several other days, I was like, the one thing I didn't know about Casey was how many times he put himself in that situation. And I didn't know how many times he asked. But I did know how many times I put myself in the situation, and I did know how many times I asked, and it was very few.
Sure.
I said the only difference between Casey Field and I is he went to 13 NFRs and I only went to 5. Give me 8 more, I think I could have beat him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that I could have, type of a deal. I know how many sponsorship suites that I didn't go sign at because I didn't want to. I know how many phone calls I didn't make because I didn't want to or whatever, right? So make that phone call. The deal I seen was Babe Ruth had the most home runs, but he also had the most strikeouts. Michael Jordan had 6 rings, but he also had the most missed buzzer beaters, some of those things. Like, keep stepping up to the plate and swinging, man, because one of these days you're going to connect with that ball and hit a grand slam.
Yeah.
The only difference between Casey Field and I is I haven't swung enough bats.
Yeah.
Moments matter. Make that phone call. Ask that question. Go to that thing. Go to that conference. Hey, JR, will you wear a rodeo ready sticker? I could have said no. Like, ask the next guy. Somebody's going to say sure. Like, do that thing that you want to do. Moments matter. What you do in this moment matters. And if the answer is no, ask again. Don't give up on what you want to do, because sooner or later you're going to connect with that ball and hit a grand slam.
Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in this week to Starch Podcast. We appreciate you guys week after week coming and listening to great stories. Make sure you guys go follow us on Instagram, also on Facebook. Please go check out our YouTube, like and subscribe on YouTube. Share it with all of your friends. We're going to see you guys here in about 2 weeks. It doesn't happen overnight. This is what the Buckle didn't see. That young kid dreaming of the moment, devising week in and week out. Times that took you away from your family, the times you wanted to quit. Those late night drives, all the fears, tears, and doubts. Your hard work made you a champion. And for the last 52 years, we've celebrated champions.